if I told you that for the past 30 years, the US military has been flying aircraft so fast, they literally break the sound barrier multiple times over? So secret that even Congress doesn't know about them, and so advanced that they make the legendary SR-71 Blackbird look like a paper airplane? Today, we're diving into the most classified aviation program in US history, SR-91 Aurora, a hypersonic spy plane that officially doesn't exist, but the evidence suggests it's been dominating the skies since the 1990s. And here's the crazy part. New leaked documents and insider testimonies suggest we're about to see its successor, the SR-72, which could fly at Mach 6 and might already be in testing. By the end of this video, you'll understand why this single aircraft could shift the entire global balance of power, and why three major world powers are in an all-out race to build the fastest planes ever conceived. But first, let me show you something that's going to blow your mind. This is going to be intense. Let's go. Alright, before we dive into the insanity of hypersonic aircraft that can cross continents in under an hour, we need to establish some context. Because what I'm about to tell you sounds like science fiction, but it's happening right now, above our heads. First, let's talk numbers. The fastest commercial plane you've ever been on? Maybe 550 miles per hour? The legendary SR-71 Blackbird that everyone knows about? Mach 3.3, that's roughly 2,500 miles per hour. Impressive, right? Well, the SR-91 Aurora we're discussing today? We're talking Mach 5 to Mach 8. That's between 3,800 to 6,100 miles per hour. To put that in perspective, at maximum speed, Aurora could fly from New York to Los Angeles in 37 minutes, London to Tokyo, 1 hour and 15 minutes. That's not travel, that's teleportation with wings. But here's where it gets really interesting, and why the US government has spent billions keeping this secret. This isn't just about speed, though we'll get to some mind-blowing speed records that were accidentally recorded. This is about something much bigger. See, in the world of military aviation, there are three holy grails: speed, stealth, and altitude. Get all three right, and you have an aircraft that's essentially untouchable. The SR-71 nailed 2 out of 3. Aurora? Well, let's just say there's a reason why mysterious sonic booms were recorded over California in the 1,990 second that were so loud, people thought they were earthquakes. And before you think this is just another conspiracy theory, stick with me. Because the evidence I'm about to show you comes from seismic data, defense budget leaks, and eyewitness accounts from people with top-secret clearances. This isn't speculation. This is detective work. Speaking of evidence, wait until you hear about the incident in 1991 that literally shook Southern California. Okay, so June 1991. Picture this. It's a quiet morning in Southern California. People are having their coffee, getting ready for work, completely normal day. Then, suddenly, boom. A sound so loud that thousands of people thought the big earthquake had finally hit. Windows rattled, car alarms went off. Panic spread across the entire basin. But here's where it gets weird. Seismologists rushed to their equipment, expecting to see earthquake readings. Instead, they found something that made no sense. The shock waves weren't coming from underground, RPA. They were coming from the sky. And the speed? Mach 4. That's over 3,000 miles per hour. Now, officially, no US aircraft was flying at those speeds in 1991. The SR-71 had been retired a year earlier. The space shuttle wasn't landing that day. So, what was it? This is where the story gets absolutely insane. Because this wasn't a one-time thing. Between October 1991 and June 1992, seismic stations recorded multiple hypersonic flights following the exact same path. Northeast over Los Angeles, through the Mojave Desert, heading straight toward Area 51. But the sonic booms were just the beginning. Around the same time, pilots started reporting something they'd never seen before. Strange contrails in the sky, not the normal white lines you see from commercial jets. These looked like donuts on a rope, perfectly spaced, circular formations that baffled atmospheric scientists. Then came the eyewitness accounts that changed everything. Chris Gibson, a former member of the British Royal Observer Corps, these are the people trained to identify every aircraft in existence, was working on an oil rig in the North Sea in 1989. He sees two F-111 fighter jets being escorted by something he couldn't identify. A perfect black triangle, 75-degree leading edge, being refueled mid-air by a tanker aircraft. Gibson sketched what he saw. When aerospace engineers analyzed his drawing years later, they realized he had documented something that shouldn't exist, an aircraft with the exact specifications that Aurora was rumored to have. But here's the part that's going to make your jaw drop. Because all of this mysterious activity, it was just the testing phase. The real question is, what happened when Aurora became operational? And more importantly, what's flying above us right now that we don't know about? Because the budget documents I found are going to change how you think about government secrecy forever. All right, this is where everything clicks into place. And honestly, when I first discovered this, I had to double-check the sources 3 times because it seemed too crazy to be real. So in 1985, completely by accident, the name Aurora appears in a Pentagon budget request. Just sitting there, buried in thousands of pages of defense spending, next to a line item requesting $2.3 billion for black aircraft development. Someone forgot to redact it. One mistake, one name. And suddenly, aerospace journalists around the world had a smoking gun. But here's the twist that changes everything. That $2.3 billion, that was just the start. When defense analysts started digging deeper into classified budget allocations throughout the late 82nd and 92nd, they found something absolutely mind-blowing. The total black budget for experimental aircraft during Aurora's development period? Over $60 billion. That's more than the GDP of most countries, more than NASA's entire budget for a decade. They were funding something massive. And I know what you're thinking. Maybe it was spent on multiple projects, but then came the infrastructure discoveries that prove otherwise. Area 51's runway system. Google Earth didn't exist back then, but satellite imagery analysis shows that between 1,988 and 1,994, they built additional runway capacity specifically designed for aircraft requiring takeoff speeds above 300 miles per hour. The main runway, 6 miles long. That's longer than most commercial airports combined. But here's the breakthrough moment that convinced even the skeptics. In 2017, Rob Weiss, CEO of Lockheed Martin's Skunk Works, the same division that built the SR-71, gave an interview. He didn't confirm Aurora directly, but he said something that sent shockwaves through the aerospace community. The technology has matured. We're ready to launch a hypersonic aircraft program. Then he smiled and said, "Some programs have been in development longer than people realize." That's when everything started making sense. Because Aurora wasn't just a test program, it was a stepping stone. All that secrecy, all those mysterious flights, all that budget allocation, it was preparing for something much bigger. The SR-72, the son of Blackbird. And according to leaked documents from early 2025, prototypes aren't just being tested, they might already be operational. We're talking about an aircraft that makes Aurora look slow. But here's what's really going to blow your mind about what this means for the future of warfare and why 3 superpowers are now in a race that could determine global dominance for the next 50 years. So here's the plot twist that changes everything and why this whole Aurora mystery actually matters more than you think. The SR-91 Aurora? It probably never existed. According to Ben Rich, the former director of Lockheed's Skunk Works, Aurora was just a budget code name for the B-2 bomber program. All those mysterious sonic booms, triangular aircraft sightings, and donuts on a rope contrails? They were likely tests of other classified aircraft, possibly early stealth bombers or experimental platforms. But here's why the Aurora legend actually matters. All that speculation, all that public fascination with hypersonic flight, all those budget black holes that researchers found, they were building towards something real. The SR-72, the actual son of Blackbird. And this one isn't a myth. Lockheed Martin has confirmed it's under development. with prototypes potentially flying by the end of 2025. We're talking about an unmanned aircraft that can exceed Mach 5, carry hypersonic strike weapons, and penetrate any air defense system currently in existence. The Aurora legend was preparing us for a reality that's even more impressive than the myth. So while Aurora was likely never real, it created the perfect cover story for developing the technology that would eventually become the SR-72. The legend becomes reality, just 30 years later than we thought. So here's what this entire story teaches us about how military innovation actually works, and why you should care about this even if you're not into aviation. The Aurora legend wasn't just a conspiracy theory. The Rowalk, it was a masterclass in strategic deception. Think about it. For 30 years, aviation enthusiasts and foreign intelligence agencies were chasing ghosts, trying to figure out a plane that didn't exist, while the real hypersonic program was developing quietly in the background. This is how technological leaps actually happen, not with grand announcements and press conferences, but in the shadows, behind classified budgets, until suddenly one day, the impossible becomes routine. The iPhone wasn't announced until it was ready. SpaceX didn't reveal their capabilities until rockets were landing themselves. And Aurora? Well, Aurora taught us that sometimes the myth is more powerful than the reality. But here's what keeps me up at night thinking about this stuff. If Aurora was just a cover story, and the SR-72 is what they're willing to admit they're working on, what else is flying above us right now that we won't hear about for another 30 years? Because that's the real lesson here. Military technology isn't just about planes or weapons, it's about staying ahead of threats we can't even imagine yet. And in a world where hypersonic weapons can cross continents in minutes, being first isn't just an advantage, it's survival. Look, if this story fascinated you as much as it did me, you need to hit that subscribe button because I'm diving deep into military technology that's reshaping our world. Next week, I'm breaking down China's response to the SR-72 and why it's triggering a new kind of arms race that makes the Cold War look simple. Drop a comment and tell me, what classified military technology do you think is being developed right now that we won't know about until 2050? Because based on what we've learned about Aurora, the reality is probably way crazier than anything we can imagine. And if you want to understand how these technologies actually impact global politics and your daily life, check out this video, where I explain why hypersonic weapons are about to change everything about international conflict. Until next time, keep questioning what you think you know, because sometimes the biggest secrets are hiding in plain sight.